Hi, Tim Sales here. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the top 3 reasons that network marketers or multi-level marketing reps are not generating leads. Now, this can be you aren't generating a lead, therefore you're not able to build a team, or your team is not able to build a team because they don't know how to generate leads. This is just one of those fundamentals where you've got to solve the problem yourself, and then you've also got to solve the problem for your representatives, your teammates. People avoid it because it's the engagement. It's where they're actually going to go in and build it. And so they tend to avoid it for various different reasons. And so I'm going to walk you through how to become aware of what this problem is. Before I get started here, write the ones that you or your team struggle with. I want you to really engage in it so that you're saying, hey, is my rep doing this? Am I doing this? Because it's only when you become aware of the problem or how you're avoiding it or how your team is avoiding it or one of your teammates is avoiding it. So just jot that down as to which ones that you see going on your team. Number one, they're just not confronting why they're not generating leads. All right, so that's the most basic. And trust me when I tell you that the 34 years that I've been in the industry, they're very creative, and I was creative in avoiding it and not confronting it and things like that. And so that's the reason I have this as number one. So the first one, we're going to call it 1A. And so if this is you, write 1A on your piece of paper. 1A is they don't really believe that they can succeed at network marketing. All right. And so I'm going to put in the show notes down below in the description where you can solve that problem if that one is you. Okay. So that one's going to be in a video I did called Enemies versus Friendly Identities. And so fundamentally, you just got to think about this for a second. So a person who doesn't believe that they can succeed at network marketing, they signed up and they want to do it, but they don't believe that it's real to them. Like, could I ever really do this? It's that sort of a thing. And that is an invalidation. First of all, when you just look at the concept of believe, well, man, if you can't convince yourself, how in the world are you going to convince anybody else to join your team? And if that is an underlying thing there, then you have an enemy jacket on. All right. So you are your worst enemy. Why? Because you put on a jacket that says, I don't think I can do it. All right. That's ridiculous. You can do anything that you want to do. Right. So that one, make sure that you watch that video. Number 2, they're trying to force themselves to generate leads instead of simply generating leads. And so you might say, what? Well, I have to force myself to do it. No, you don't. Here's what I'm really talking about. I'm standing in my home office, and that way, about 50 yards, is my man cave, for lack of better words. It's my gym. And it's very interesting to me that sometimes the effort for me to go out there is more effort than the workout itself. In other words, it's all mental. And so when I finally became aware of what I was doing, in other words, I was putting more pressure on myself to get in the gym, I was like, this is ridiculous. And so instead, I just put my shoes out and my workout clothes, and I step into my shoes and my workout clothes, and I don't even think about it because I already made that decision earlier. And so that's what I mean when I say they're trying to force themselves to generate leads instead of just going and generating leads. What it means is that you're just going to not ask yourself if you feel like generating leads because you already made the decision you're going to generate leads. Okay. All right. So 1C is they won't confront what's stopping them from generating leads. Something stops them and they don't look and go, wait a minute, I'm trying to sabotage my business. What am I doing here? Right? So they won't do that step. D is they won't be resourceful enough to keep figuring out the next step of what they need to do or they need to learn in order to do. That's the simplicity of number one, which is they're not confronting why they're not generating leads. And so those are the 4 ones. So please, if you fit any of these categories, make sure you write them down. 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, because I'm going to ask you to drop it in the comments because I want to come back and help everyone solve all these problems. Okay. Number 2, they never established lead generation. All right. So I had my wife come in while I was writing this up, and she goes, I don't understand what you mean here, babe. And I go, well, our operating basis when we were building this house is different than after we built this house. In other words, we had to draw up plans for the house. We had to choose, faucets and doorknobs and all these different stuff, right? So that all of that was establishing the house. And then once we were done establishing the house, and then it was a little bit more activity. So, okay, so the bed and then the washing machines and all these kind of things, right? So that's all establishment. And that step has to be done because people are normally in a operating basis of something. Just because they sign up, they buy a kit, they buy products, doesn't mean that they've changed their operating basis. All they did is they just bought something, and that is normally a normal procedure in life. But to establish a business, there has to be a change of operating basis, okay? And so they never established their lead generation. So A, haven't decided how and where they're going to generate leads. In other words, what platform am I going to use? Where am I going to generate my leads? Okay, so they have to push into that and make that decision. Well, where's the best one? And they'll go on and on and on. Maybe I could do it this way. Maybe I could do postcards. Maybe I could do events, like down at the expos and stuff like that. Maybe I could, and there always may be for 10 years, and they never generate leads. They never decide where they're going to generate leads. And so that's the first kind of step that has to be pushed there. And then 2B is they don't list each step in the lead generation process and prioritize the list. This has come to my attention because of some of the people that I have recently brought into the business. And I just sit and I listen and I'm like, wow, okay, so they never went into the establishment of, and they don't make a list. And when they do decide what platform or whatever, they don't create that list. So if that's you, make sure you write 2A or 2B. All right. So number 3 is they don't have a plan to continually generate leads, which would become the standard operating basis. So when I came back into the industry, I had to establish, right? I had to move out of my standard operating procedures. I had to establish my lead generation, and then I needed to create it to be on automatic. Okay. And so they don't have a plan to continually generate leads, which is a standard operating basis. They don't, and this is 3A. They don't have a written target of quantity of leads to generate. So in other words, they never did that math backwards to say, okay, so in a year from now, I want to have this amount of money. All right, well, how am I going to do that based on the compensation plan? What have I got to do? How many leads do I have to really generate? That kind of thing. It's confronting the truth of your business. So that's 3A. 3B is they don't execute their plan of the day daily. And then 3C is they don't have or execute a productive morning routine. Now, I have found that in myself, I know certain things drain my energy. I know certain things cause me to be fired up, ready to win the day. All right. And so I have to make that for myself. And I watched a lot of different stuff that people had done. I read a lot of books, things, and I had to figure out my own and navigate my own way that I do it. And so you'll see a little bit of that in next week's video where you'll see kind of like, a couple of steps that I do in the morning, every morning. All right. All of this that I've just shared with you is become aware of why you're not generating leads. And these are the most often the ones that I see in myself as well as in my team. Some of these I haven't had a problem with. Others I've had tremendous problems with. Okay, so please comment. Number one, which ones, so that would be like 1A, 1B, 1C, and so on, are stopping you? So that's the first question that I want to ask. And don't be ashamed of it, right? You know, that's part of confronting the truth, right? It's steering into, wait a minute, who am I trying to kid here? I know I'm not generating leads. All right. So why am I chicken about it? Right? Number two, which ones are stopping your team? All right. And that might be, maybe the last 3 or 4 people you've been working with. It might be somebody who has been in the business for a long time. They come to all the events and things like that. They really want the business, but they've just not ever done what? Which one? Which one is it? Because I want to be able to help the most amount of people in solving these problems. All right. So I appreciate you watching. If you like this kind of content and you want me to do more of it, then please like, share, and subscribe. If you're not aware of our Telegram channel, that right there is the address. So I answer a lot of questions there, and you can ask questions in there. And so it's real cool. All right. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to your comments.